Battlecast Prime Time. Coming up, talk about mobile command centers. Command & Conquer comes to the iPhone. Art director Chris Tamburino takes us through Birth of a Unit, all about the Salamander. Jeremy Fiesel answers your questions in Ask a Developer. And as always, APOC in his corner, an action-packed Battlecast 10, and the start of our new King of the Hill style main event series with Technique and Aeonian. Battlecast Prime Time starts now. You're logged in to Battlecast Primetime. I'm Raj Joshi. Coogan found a gray hair in his beard yesterday, so it's back to the anti-aging chamber. You and I are flying solo, kids, so let's do this. Command & Conquer goes mobile. Earlier this month, our community guru in residence, Aaron APOC Kaufman, sat down with Dan Theodorescu, lead designer for Red Alert for the iPhone and iPod Touch. Here's what we learned.
Hey, what's up, comrades? I'm sitting here with Dan Theodorescu, senior producer of Command & Conquer Red Alert for iPhone and iPod Touch. This is the first CNC game on your mobile phone. This is going to rock your world, and we're sitting here with Dan right now to talk a little bit more about it. So this is really the first true RTS on the iPhone, is that right?
Yes, that's right. So we're talking the true CNC Red Alert experience on your iPhone. All the mechanics that make it look good, all the major units, everything that you would like to see at your fingertips. So you can expect to have a full-blown campaign with 10 levels, bridges the story between Red Alert 2 and Red Alert 3. The Russian nations were scattered, disorganized, and the Allies had peacekeeping missions all over Europe. But you have General Bronislav and Natasha, who have their mindset on a completely different thing. They're going for complete war domination. And as a player, you have a choice. You can either help them and achieve world domination, or you can mount a counterattack by leading the Allied forces. Either way you choose, you will have control of the trademark units, the powerhouses like the Kirov units, bears in there.
Gotta have bears.
Gotta have bears at your fingertips.
Bears and Natasha, and you're good to go.
Yeah, exactly. You have the two heroes. There's Natasha and there's Tanya. And you
guys are pitting Natasha and Tanya head on each other?
No, just different campaigns. Yeah, no cat fights.
That's great that you're actually bridging the story between Red Alert 2 and Red Alert 3, because Red Alert 2, at least for the hardcore CNC players, is one of the most popular Command & Conquer games of all time.
Yeah, you can see it in the graphical style and the visual style. The units are kind of a mix between the two. Perfect 3D, you're going to see that, explosions everywhere. The camera, you can pinch in and out at any moment just to enjoy what 3D can give you.
That's awesome. You guys are really maximizing the visuals on the iPhone.
Yes, exactly. Also, for the iPhone, what's really special about it, I love it, is that you have for the first time a really good touch interface in your RTS game.
That's important.
So, yeah,
that's important.
I just love to play with two thumbs.
You play with just two thumbs?
Yeah, you play with two thumbs.
That's kind of like holding a controller in your hand almost.
Yeah, it's like having two mouses.
That's pretty awesome. So for a lot of the hardcore guys out there who like to use hotkeys and are really quick with the mouse and the keyboard, you know, maybe they like playing with their thumbs, that's great that you can turn the UI on and off, but what are you doing for these guys that want to group units over here, group units over there, send this unit there, send this unit there, do all these actions at once? How is the game going to accommodate to the hardcore player versus the casual player?
We can do all that, and as we announce, we're going to announce soon, you're going to need all that because you have a lot of tactical choices. You can go head on towards the enemy base, or you can turtle and use your defenses to take them out and build a good force, or you can go for strategic points to give you tactical advantage on the map, like more resources or garrisonable buildings or all that. And you're going to need all that. You're going to need to be able to move really fast, because we're going to have multiplayer available as a free download. It's going to be there really soon. So you have your campaign, which is 10 levels. There's the Soviet and the Allies, and then you have the skirmish levels, which are engineered for that, just pure RTS pleasure against the AI or against one of your friends. So, and as soon as we're going to have the multiplayer download, we're going to have more skirmish maps available for download.
That's really exciting for the core fans out there who want to keep playing the game. Yeah. How is the multiplayer going to work? Are you guys using what kind of tech requirements are there going to be?
It's going to be available through both Bluetooth, and Wi-Fi. Don't tell this to anybody else, but we are almost done with an add-on, with an expansion, which is about the Empire of the Rising Sun.
Nice.
Yes, so you're gonna have there a campaign done for the Japanese faction. You're gonna have some new units for the Allies and for the Soviets, and you're gonna have more skirmish. It's gonna be a really good experience.
Well, Dan, it sounds like you guys have created the ultimate RTS game for the iPhone. I'm ready to download it right now, and I think it's actually available in the App Store right now.
This one is available. This one is available for Europe, North America, and Japan. So make sure to check your local iTunes App Store, and it's available right now.
Exciting stuff! Look for Red Alert to invade an iPhone near you. In the meantime, the Salamander has invaded this month's BCPT. Here's a CNC4 dev team with Birth of a Unit, brought to you by Kingston Technologies.
Hey everybody, it's great to be back on camera again. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Jeremy Fiesel. I'm leading up gameplay design on Command & Conquer 4. We're here to talk about the Nod Salamander today, how it fits into gameplay and how we got it there. So the Nod Salamander is meant to be a get it into the thick of things Nod capital ship that can just blow up everything around it. What's different about this guy is that he's got 4 rocket turrets that essentially go out in 4 different directions. The way the rocket turrets work is effectively each of them has a 90-degree arc that comes off of a corner of the unit, meaning that if you put the unit in the midst of forces all around it, it's going to be able to do 4 times the damage that it can if it's only facing the units from one particular direction. In addition to that, it's got a special ability. Essentially, you activate the ability, these pods open up and they reveal 2 flame canisters inside of the unit that then just kind of, what's a good word for this? I'm gonna say barf fire on the ground below the unit in increasing waves that just do more and more and more damage and take up more and more and more space.
This is the final concept for the Salamander, which is then sent to modeling. It was an interesting project in the sense that this concept was done externally with an art studio called Concept Art House, who we've worked with on many projects. And they have a reputation for developing great military hardware, and we've been very happy with the work we've gotten from them. So the challenge with this concept was that we hadn't developed too many Nod aircraft. So we didn't have too many examples other than the Nod crawler to send Concept Art House. They came back to us with this, and upon reviewing this, we felt that although there were some really interesting moments here, that it felt a little too Skrin-like. And the next day, we received this image. Along with the second revision, we received this image here that we felt was particularly cool. There were a number of flamethrowers on the side in this oval shape that would actually accordion out from the main body of the aircraft. We felt that was particularly cool and something that we hadn't yet done on any other Nod unit.
So with the Salamander, one of the challenges was that it was a pretty animation-intensive unit. Not only does it have rocket pods on the body, but it also has 2 unique pods that open up and expel fire down. So this required a little bit more guidance and direction with working with Virtuos on how all these modulars or pods were supposed to animate and function within the unit.
The Purifier weapon is a pretty devastating piece of ordnance. This was unique in that it had to fire its weapon 3 times, and each time the ring of fire got larger and larger. So we had to come up with a method of making it deal this damage and show these effects as long as you were firing. If you moved away during the firing, it had to stop. And so one of our software engineers, Jeff Chow, came up with a method allowing us to make it move away and not continue firing if you interrupted it. That was, on the technical side, that was challenging, the most challenging part of that weapon.
So as you can see, there's multiple layers of depth behind all of the different units that we've designed for CNC4. The entire intention of that is to make it so that every one of your gameplay experiences and every unit that you buy feels different, feels interesting, and can be used in fun and innovative ways.
Now we jump into the best of the best RE3 action from ConquerCup.com and revisit Tiberium Wars highlights from the most recent GameReplays.org 1v1 tournament. It's time for the Battlecast 10. In our number 10 match, Fergly and Enigma face off as the Allies on Snowplow. Both players rush to the central lane and build mirrored armies of infantry and air force, each canceling each other out. Enigma makes a move to the water, but gets chased out by creeping multi-gunner turrets. Fergly makes a play for the air, but he's shot out of the sky. How will the stalemate end? With a lone Javelin Trooper in his laser lock mode, crippling Enigma's resource game. David takes down Goliath and Fergly leaves the arena victorious. From a single soldier to the power of an overwhelming army, we go to Totally on Fire versus Greasy Epidemic on Tournament Arena. Epidemic focuses on the harvest early, setting up shop at his blue tip field while trying to lock off Fire's field across the map. But while Epidemic works on building more refineries and getting defenses on the map, Totally on Fire matches with a rush of rocket troops and Predator tanks. He's thrown all his resources into the rush, and rocket troops flood like ants into Greasy's unitless base. It's a decisive win and perfect counter from Totally on Fire. Here's another rush strategy from DOS Duelon and Elites on Industrial Strength. In this Empire Mirror, both players go for the resource structures first, but where they go from there is illuminating. Elites takes the chance and goes for the rush, getting Tengus and infantry into Duelon's base. But Duelon, sensing this attack, has sold his MCV and gained an enormous amount of credits, which he uses to get a superior Tengu force up and running. Clearing out his base, Duelon makes a Kane's Wrath-style timing push for Elite's base. And what's this? He's got a sudden transport and engineer already waiting for him, which takes the Mecha Bay and cripples Elite's production. Good unit choice and clever resource management win the day for DOS Duelon as he goes home with the Conquer Cup. Our number 7 match is a devastating show of force from Klaxon against Killer Ois on Pipeline Problems. Killer Ois draws first blood by cutting into Klaxon's eastern expansion, trying to keep the GDI player distracted while he gets Devastator warships in the air. But the attack doesn't hold Klaxon long enough, and soon there are APCs flooding into Killer Ois's base. If Royce ever had a chance at tech dominance, it's gone in seconds, and now he's forced to play a numbers game against Klaxon, who has an entire fleet of APCs ready to go if his first one falls. Combining the forces, Klaxon plays whack-a-mole for a few minutes and soon after takes the match. Back to Red Alert 3. Technique faces down reigning champ Fergly on Fire Island and shows why the Empire is a force to be reckoned with. Fergly starts by making all the right moves. He counters the Japanese infantry spam with Vindicators and Peacekeepers and keeps all the early units out of his front door. But Fergly fails to capitalize on the moment, waiting too long to use those Vindicators to destroy Technique's unit-producing structures. Soon, Technique has a perfect mix of tank busters, tsunami tanks, and strikers, a potent combination against the early game allies. Fergly tries to fix his mistake with the treads of his MCV, but it's a failed tactic, and Technique reigns supreme with a small and efficient strike force. Greasy Epidemic returns to Tournament Arena to battle XS Movi. Both players move rapidly to secure their northern tip fields, but Movi is the first to Scorpion tanks and makes a hard hit on Greasy's undefended MCV as he tries to expand. But Greasy's learned a thing or two from Totally on Fire and focuses his efforts on a rocket troop spam. His dude swarm is unbeatable, and though he's flying without a Conyard, he easily takes his enemy's armada. A little cleanup and Greasy walks away victorious. Another great Javelin strategy from Red Alert 3 comes from Molly against Marky on Infinity Isle. It looks like your typical PK swarm, but he's backing it up with his MCV, and there's a band of Javelins hidden in that army. When they get to Marky's base, the race is on to kill those laser-locked Javelins, but the PKs manage to stop most of the traffic. Marky makes a play with his MCV, a last-ditch effort, but he's stopped by Molly's MCV. Now we know why Molly brought that beast along. Unable to maneuver his MCV into a win, Marky tries a quick retreat and then gives up the ghost. Totally on Fire takes a swing at reigning main event champion Aeonian on Pipeline Problems. Fire plays as a screen and leads with Storm Riders, effectively ceding the early ground game to Aeonian while securing the skies. It looks like this gamble might not pay off when Aeonian's army starts pounding down Fire's structures. But the screen player makes a quick move and gets a few tripods in the mix. Retreating, Aeonian doubles down and gets his ground game back on track. But Fire has taken advantage of every extra second of air dominance to get Devastator warships on the map. Backed by powerful tripods, this teched-up force obliterates the lesser GDI army, even at a numbers disadvantage, and once those force fields go up around the tripods, it's GG for Aeonian. Our top RA3 match comes from Matisse and Ukraine Star on Tempo Prime. In this Soviet mirror, both players pass up the rush to put up Crusher cranes, and then follow their own strats. Ukraine Star expands to the northern sea and secures the skies with a host of MiGs, while Matisse uses a few tanks to keep the enemy at bay as he techs up to Tier 3 with a battle lab. So while Ukraine Star might own the air and match his opponent's tank spam, Matisse has a higher tech level and peppers in a Natasha and Apocalypse tank. These two high-level units give Matisse all the advantage he needs when the two forces finally clash. And his crippling blow to Ukraine's war factory seals the #2 match for Matisse. Mr. MC and Killer Royce show how to end the game quick with a Harvester Strike on Tournament Rift. While MC tries to defend against those bikes with his own infantry and bike force, Killer is lining up a second push of Pit Bulls. But notice the targets. Never the structures, only the Harvesters. By getting them all this early with focus fire, Killer essentially wipes the legs right out from under Mr. MC, and he takes the win without ever launching a full assault.
The 10, brought to you by Logitech, makers of the customizable G9X laser mouse.
You stay with us now, we need to regroup, because on its way is Apox Corner, Ask a Developer, and the main event match between Technique and Aeonian. Don't go away. Welcome back to Battlecast Primetime. Time for a BCPT promotion. Sure, he may have been here for only a few months, and sure, it took me 2 years to get a promotion out of Silverman, but Jeremy Fiesel has broken out of his main event stride to bring you this month's Gunner Optic Ask a Developer.
Hey everyone, this is Jeremy Fiesel, your gameplay designer for CNC4, here with another edition of Ask a Developer. Well, let's get right to it. Top questions on the forums. Today's first question: in the last Battlecast Primetime, Jason Bender said that the crawler was created because stationary base construction wasn't necessarily compatible with the style of play that we're going for CNC4. I'm curious to know why it wasn't compatible or how it didn't complement the game in the way that it was expected to. So this is a great question because obviously the crawler is a major divergence from traditional CNC gameplay, and a part of why we decided to go the crawler mechanic, really the largest part, comes down to the fact that the game is very much centered around team play and 5v5. When you have 5 players vying for a battlefield, you either have to create a very, very large battlefield to make base building essentially very important in very particular areas and even harassable, or you have to consolidate the players' structures into a specific area. So really, in order to get that feeling of team play, of fast-paced action, and of constant sort of ebb and flow of the battlefield, we wanted to go with the most mobile and the most easily accessible construction unit that you could possibly go with, which is sort of how the crawler was spawned, and why the idea of more traditional base building and a slower early game didn't necessarily mesh with that. The next question: will zooming and pathfinding be any more different? Great question. Or improved on CNC4. Obviously, everything in CNC4 is about the unit interactions and about what you're doing on the battlefield with your units. So having a better Pathfinder was one of our top priorities and was something we hit very, very early on in the project. Same thing with zooming. We actually did quite a few numbers, or quite a few tests with the entire team to look at various different zoom levels and even pitch angles and yaw angles to see what is the most optimal camera for the player. Ultimately, we came to 2 different conclusions. There's one angle that looks very good artistically, and that's the angle that we're using for the single-player missions. You'll see that the campaigns feel very artistic in terms of the landscape that you can see. You can see more space, and so you get a better feel of the game world. At the same time, we've zoomed out further, almost twice as much as RA3, for the multiplayer aspect of the game, and brought the pitch back up so that you're looking more down onto the battlefield, and you get better resolution of your individual units and how they're moving around other units, which is obviously less important in single player than it is in multiplayer, but at the same time, massively increasing the pitch or the zoom angle has really helped in a lot of different aspects in unit control, even in single player. So I think you'll be very, very happy with it. Another user asks, another awesome question, will the nuclear missile or ion cannon super weapons be making a return in CNC4? I don't think this could be a CNC game without having a nuclear missile, or at least some kind of big Nod missile and an ion cannon, so absolutely. Both of these structures are the highest tier defensive structures. It's the last thing you get after you level up your defensive character, and they're incredibly powerful. We decided to make them a little bit less binary than they've been in previous games. In previous games, it was sort of, you wait until the 6, 7, or 5 minute timer is up, and then you get a weapon that can obliterate absolutely everything. In this game, we wanted to have a more staged development. So for example, the ion cannon opens up in a series of 6 maneuvers like the petals of a flower, adding to the charge of the ion cannon. And every time one of those petals opens up, it makes it have a larger AoE, it does more damage, it has more EMP time, and if you wait until the very end, then you get an exponentially much more powerful structure that does a lot more damage. And our last question for today, how do special abilities work in CNC4? Does every unit have one special ability like RA3, or multiple, or at least one, but possibly more? The tier 1 units are all relatively simple in terms of what they do. A lot of them don't have unit abilities, except if you're on support, but they all have very different base level interactions, different ranges, different speeds, the ability to cliff jump, the ability to burrow under things, different accelerations and decelerations, things that make it so that the micromanagement of those tier 1 units is not necessarily complex in terms of pressing buttons, but it's complex in terms of what you're doing at a very base level. How are you moving your units? How are you attacking with them? How are you funneling the enemy into a tactical disadvantage? Now that changes as you level up. So as you level up and you buy more complex units and more complex structures, you'll find that they have 1, 2, even 3 different unit abilities, and the quirkiness of each individual unit starts increasing exponentially. This is another way in which we're trying to allow the lower level players to still play effectively with the higher level players by not necessarily linearly increasing attack power as you get better units. It really just changes how you play the game. Now that's not to say that the very, very high tier units aren't really cool. A lot of them have excellent abilities, but they also have significant cooldowns and are best used under very specific circumstances. And that's all for Ask a Developer for today. Back to you, Raj.
We've kept him at bay long enough. Aaron APOC Kaufman, bring us the latest community info. APOC's Corner is go for launch.
Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to APOC's Corner, brought to you by Western Digital. I'm Aaron APOC Kaufman, your official CNC community manager. Now before we kick off, I'd like to send out a few thank yous. First off, I'd like to thank Kristen Nod Soldier Girl Andrews for her beautiful fan art. Congratulations on completing that in your final task for your art school. And I'd also love to thank James Chronojam Brodeur and Samantha Venom Paws Robinson for this beautiful, sparkly, spiffy, awesome shirt. This is the coolest fan shirt I've ever received. It's also the only one. I love it. So, let's kick things off. The official pre-order program for Command & Conquer 4 Tiberian Twilight is now live at commandandconquer.com/preorder. You're going to get access to the early phase of our CNC4 beta going on right now. So, what are you going to do? You're going to head over to commandandconquer.com/preorder and get CNC4 reserved right now. The faction section for CNC4 is live as promised. Thank God I don't have to shave my head. We'll be profiling a new unit from CNC4 in our faction section every week up until the launch of the game. So be sure to head over there and keep your eyes posted for new content. Now I'm going to send it over to my community manager assistant, Tupac, for his map spotlight.
CNCmaps.com recently ran a 2-week mapping contest to find the best maps from every CNC universe, and the results produced one of the best CNC maps of all time titled Advanced Weapons Lab by Predator for Kane's Wrath. In this map, a secret Nod subfaction installed a weapons lab, causing unexpected Tiberium growth. Therefore, they nuke the Tiberium fields every 5 minutes, so keep an eye on your harvesters and take the fight to the enemy. Don't get too cocky though. The Advanced Weapons Lab has tons of base defenses, so steer clear of that area. To download all the contest winners, head on over to my Map Madness Spotlight at commandandconquer.com. That's it for me. Back to APOC for his mod spotlight.
The guys at community fan site ppmsite.com have just announced their 0-hour mod Invasion Confirmed with a new Red October demo. It's a total conversion mod for CNC General 0 Hour that brings the entire Red Alert universe to your fingertips with a very cartoonish style for the game. So check out Invasion Confirmed at ppmsite.com or hit up their mod profile at moddb.com. This is an amazing mod for 0 Hour. You have to check it out. There have been a lot of great CNC sites in the community for quite a long time. CNC Den, Planet CNC, CNC Saga, but for my last call, I'd like to spotlight, hands down, one of the best, CNCworld.org, because they're celebrating their 10-year anniversary. How are they doing it? They're kicking off 2 main competitions in preparation, and one starts right now, and it's called Show Your CNC Pride. All you gotta do is wear your favorite CNC shirt, go King Crazy, write something creative, and submit it to their site, and you might win some very cool prizes, like a Frank Klepacki back catalog, all his CDs, or a signed copy of Red Alert 2 by the dev team. There's some great prizes to be had, and a lot of great competitions and other festivities going on at CNCworld.org, not to mention they have a lot of great historic info and all the latest news on Command & Conquer. That's it for my corner, brought to you by Western Digital. Back to you, Raj.
Thanks, Aaron. And now it's a time you've all been waiting for, the main event. Welcome to the main event. Jeremy Fiesel is in the building with 2 very special guest commentators. Red 3 TV producers and community notables, I Am Zero and The Gun Run. Kieran Hill and Justin Ignacio are with us. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
It's great to be here.
And I'm always happy to be here.
That's great, Jeremy. So this month we've got Technique versus Aeonian for a King of the Hill style match series. The winner of this match will return next month to face a new competitor, sent into the gauntlet by votes from the community. That's the future, but today's battle is upon us. Gentlemen, tell me about these players. What do you think we're going to see here today?
Well, we've got Technique versus Aeonian, obviously 2 very high-end players. Technique, the winner of Ladder Season 3. You know what, I'm going to kick it over to you guys, members of the community who probably know best. Zero, why don't you give us your rundown?
Well, I mean, you know, both players have played Kane's Wrath for an awful long time. We got to meet Technique at Ladder Season 3 finals. He's a very, very strong player. But, you know, Aeonian, he's been playing Kane's Wrath a fair bit more than him since Ladder Season. So, you know, the game could really go either way.
Gunrun, you were able to help cast this match during Ladder Season 3. What do you think is going to happen?
I think Technique will do a really good job, and during the Ladder Season, he did an outstanding job with Kane's Wrath, so I have some high hopes for this guy.
Cool. I think we've got a winner here.
Okay, it's time to put your reputations on the line and pick a victor. Who is your AMD pick of the match?
Well, I'm going to have to go with the Dark Horse Aeonian in this one. So I know this guy, I've watched him come up through patches 1.0, 1.01, and 1.02. I know that he's really good at these sneaky strategies, and he can usually figure out what the most effective strategy is for any match. And who knows, Technique might have fallen off his game a little bit after Ladder Season 3. What about you, Zero?
Well, I mean, you know, I know both players. I know they're both very strong, but after seeing Technique just rack it up in Ladder Season 3, I'm going to have to give my AMD pick of the match to him.
Probably a very solid bet. Who's your AMD pick of the match, Gunrun?
I'd have to go with Technique here as well. He performed really well in the Ladder Season. So, yeah, I think he'll make good on this one.
Well, there you have it. It's 2 versus 1 for the AMD pick of the match.
And I'll go with Aeonian, because he's sexy. The stage is set. The players are poised. Gentlemen, let the games begin. Tonight's matchup is between Technique and Aeonian on tournament decision.
We've got Technique here in the south. He's playing the green vanilla knot, and Aeonian is in the north. He's playing the cyan or blue-colored vanilla scrin. Both of these players playing the factions that they're very, very strong with. Okay, guys, what do you think we're going to see right off?
Well, I mean, right off, obviously, both people are going to be going for their tip spikes. I mean, they've got to do it, especially on decision. You can see they're going to be selling off their Raxes almost immediately after they get out their engineers. And yeah, same down there for Technique. You know, well, I mean, I'm pretty sure that Aeonian, he's got a bit of a reputation for thinking out of the box with his strategies. So, to be honest, we don't really know what to expect from him. He's trying to get on the scout, but Technique doing a very good job of counter scouting with his infantry and such.
I want to point out that the first thing that he built was a Harvester and then a Seeker, and that gave him a little bit later in terms of the ability to send that Seeker down and start scouting his opponent's base. And he's already got
here we go. Yeah, 3 bucks coming in down from over there, attacking that Seeker. Looks like Seeker will be going down.
That'll be down pretty quick.
Yeah, and that means that Aeonian now isn't going to be able to scout full on into the base of Technique, which means the Technique now has the upper hand this early on in the game.
Now, why do you think he's going for the Spike instead of going for those Harvesters?
Well, I mean, to be honest, the Harvesters, they're going to be around the War Factory, which means that if Aeonian wants to, he can just micro his Harvesters around it, and it really won't do anything. But right now, it's forcing Aeonian to spend money to actually repair the Tib Spike, so that's probably the better strategic decision there from Technique.
It looks like he's throwing up a Buzzer Hive. He's going to get out a couple of Disintegrator Squads, and those will help him. They probably won't be able to reach the bikes, but they'll at least help him push back his opponent's forces. They've got him out of that area, and he was able to. Was he able to save that Tib Spike to go down? It looked like, yep, it's still up.
Still there. Yeah, so they'll push him away.
Hit points. So a great maneuver there. He was able to counter just in time, and things are still even.
Yeah, I don't think that 3-bike really paid off there for Technique at all. So now I think that Aeonian has a bit of an upper hand, and he's already got 4 Harvesters in his base, which means that his economy is now
5. He's got 5.
Oh wow, 5. Yeah.
So he's 5 versus 4 Harvesters right now. He's got that 1 Seeker for defense and those 2 Disintegrator Squads. So although he didn't lose any of those bikes, his opponent went 3 Refinery. So he's going to essentially try to mine the field out as quickly as possible. We'll probably see a timing push before Technique expands, and he's going to keep harassing his opponent's resources.
And here we go again.
He's just got that 1 Seeker and those Disintegrator Squads. He just can't get down there in time.
Exactly.
It looks like he might still be able to save this this Tib Spike.
Save another one,
micros around it.
Can micro around it, yep.
Yeah, and it looks like Technique's going to pull back now with his bikes, and so Aeonian now he's saved 2 of those Tib Spikes, and back in Technique's base, he's just mining the crap out of that field right there.
Both of our players up at tier 2 right now. Aeonian got there a little bit earlier. It looks like he's going for the more traditional Devourer Corruptor, and at the same time, Technique down here's got plenty of buggies. That's a lot of EMP power.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, a whole lot of units down there right now. Lots of rocket infantry.
And here comes the Epic.
Yep, here it comes.
Oh boy,
yeah. Anticipated that was where his opponent was going, even without doing that much scouting.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's going for a Spike right now. Looks like there's no way he can save that.
So that was a nice distraction down there. Excellent maneuver. Unfortunate Technique, unable to take out either of his opponent's Tiberium Spikes. I almost called them oil derricks. Casting too much RA3.
Yeah, too much RA3.
He's got up to tier 3-2. He's starting throwing up the obelisks. He's playing very defensively at this point.
Oh, and here is the Hexapod coming out with the tripod as well now. So that means that Technique is in a bit of a bad position because now he's got to actually start microing those EMP buggies to lock it down whenever it comes into contact. But just that huge, massive mid-game units there from Aeonian as well is just really going to be a problem. Here we go. Stealth tanks now right on the field. Perfect decision there for Technique to make, but it looks like he's going to kind of give himself away here. It might have been a better idea to first go into the base, take out some key structures, and then when he's been found out, then maybe pull back and take that out when his opponent finally realizes it.
I want to note that he's already got the Tib Core upgrade as well, which increases the damage of those by quite a significant amount. Looks like we're going to see plenty of skirmishes go down here as we crawl forward very slowly with obelisks, and he's going to build his Redeemer. Redeemer also almost a siege unit in and of itself, being able to cast its power and send everything into a Berserker Rage from a pretty significant range away.
Yeah, definitely. And I just want to note that the top field up there is still untouched, so both players, even if it kind of goes into a stalemate down at the bottom, even if they have mined all their resources, there is eventually going to be that final kind of attack where they have to confront each other, not with just artillery.
We got a whole group of cloaked avatars and a cloaked Redeemer now who can do a lot of burst damage if they set up in a particular area. But he's already seen this coming. He heard the Redeemer created, and he's force firing on the ground, which is going to make it so that his units aren't affected by that rage generator. What a great move.
Yeah, one great thing about the Redeemer that a lot of people don't actually know is that it's the only unit in Kane's Wrath where when it crushes units, it doesn't unstealth. So if he can get that into the middle of the harvester field, then he can just pretty much run over all of Aeonian's harvesters, and unless Aeonian gets those Seekers in, and then he won't be able to see it.
Hear that, Kane's Wrath kiddos? Top pro tips from Zero right here on Battlecast Primetime.
But now here we go, Status Shield coming up.
And that's a huge portion of his attack power right there. 75% of his avatar's easily stuck in there. He's going to be able to take out small chunks of his forces. This is just a great maneuver.
Yeah, definitely. You can see all those Corruptors in the back of the army from Aeonian just healing up that epic unit.
And Spectres from afar.
Oh, and here comes a
Mind Drop right there.
Oh, wow.
Huge AoE. Oh, man.
Yeah, but oh no, it looks like
phase.
now, yeah, he's going to use a phase field on his units there so he can get them out of the face of danger. definitely a good decision, because those avatars, once they became out of the shield, they just really were reaping havoc to those units.
Looks like he didn't lose very much. Some great unit preservation on the part of both players there. And what's going on back at the end of the base here? We seem to have a huge infantry of shock troopers. Why shock troopers?
I mean, shock troopers, really, they can get in, get off, and get out, really. They can just jump on in there, kill structures, teleport out. This is probably a good time push here, just, you know, in the midst of everything else. Aeonian really just held this back. I doubt that Technique scouted it, and really now Technique knows he's in trouble. He's going to push on ahead with all of those units now.
At the same time, look at this epic battle. The buggies aren't there to EMP. They're just getting taken out one by one with their ant lining in there. Oh, come on, Technique, buddy. What happened?
Yeah, I think both players, if you go up to the top of the map where we see that lone expansion up there, then it looks like Technique is already, he's thought ahead, he's ahead of the game. He's already got 2 refineries up there, which is
I'd like to see him send some of those harvesters that are down at that empty Tiberium field up there. He's built some Vertigos, so he's doing some great bombing on his opponent's units, and he's taken out a lot of those tripods and the corruptors, etc. But that hexapod is just, it's kind of wreaking havoc in the middle of the base.
Oh yeah, definitely. That hexapod is not going to go down easily, and it looks like Technique is trying to make obelisks of light. He's trying to get some rocket troops on the field, but really it's not looking too great right now.
He's really got to focus on those corruptors, that they're just allowing that thing to stay in combat for the longest period of time. Yeah,
right. But I mean, to be honest, this is all really good right now for Technique. He really just needs to keep prolonging the game a little bit longer. Because of this, he's got that economic advantage, and here come the Raider buggies, definitely what he needs. But it looks also like Aeonian might be coming up to the top a little bit.
He's got the Redeemer back.
Another Redeemer up there.
Good. And that means that, you know, all hell can break loose when that thing uses its special ability to the rage generator that just makes all the units kill each other. So we'll see.
I think Aeonian's doing a great job of forcing Technique to really split his attention in this game.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, Aeonian throughout the whole game has pretty much been hitting on all fronts. He was off a little bit slower, but it looks like the MCV goes down there.
No more obelisks.
There he goes,
for Technique, and that's a huge portion of Nod's attack power at this point in the game.
Yeah, it might have been a good idea for Technique to have at least made a crane or something up at his expansion, but in light of that now, I really don't see what he can do, because yes, he has the economy still going on, but I'm not sure if just a few buggies and an epic unit will be able to take on such a good mix of units that Aeonian has there. And here it comes now. I think the big push is about to happen. This Redeemer is going to probably go use it, and there it goes. He uses his rage ability, and oh man, look at all those units just killing each other.
Yeah, got a whole bunch of units in that rage generator.
Great use of rage gen.
But I don't know, it looks like Aeonian was kind of able to force fire him at the ground just in time. Maybe he was probably spamming the S command to make all of his units cease and desist from what they were doing. So yes, a good job by Technique. He's really just pushing him back, holding him off. And I think that if Technique can somehow get rid of that epic unit, then he may still be in this game.
Epic unit in stasis right now gives his opponent a much better chance of pushing around and at least whittling down this pretty large force of avatars the Technique has been able to create.
And here off goes the rage generator just there.
In that 1 second in between the EMP time. Wow, what a great maneuver.
Yep, there you go, and it's able to take down that tripod right there, but Aeonian does have another one. So this is the funny thing is just how close this is. When you really look, there it goes.
Another buggy gets in there.
Yep, and the Redeemer went down, so that means that now Technique really doesn't have anything left. I think both players are completely out of money. This is it. This is what they have, and it looks like Technique has just come up a little bit short. He's short. He still has an avatar, but one avatar versus an epic unit and a tripod might not be a very fair fight.
And he's using it to take out buzzers.
Pro.
Nice. And there, GG. There it is, end of the match.
Nod Guerrilla Tactics just barely lost to the Skrin Eradication Force.
Oh wow, and yeah, if you look at the resource curve right there, you can see that Technique, right around the point when he was making that, you know, when he decided to go to that third expansion is where he took off, but where he probably should have invested the money in some units before doing that.
I think that's where, just like you said, he got really cocky at that point and said, I'm just going to push all my forces in there. I got better income and I've got better expansions, and that really didn't pay off for him.
Oh, what an upset! What was the key point to this match, gentlemen? I mean, losers. Why don't you give us your Cooler Master play of the game?
So I'm going to have to give the Cooler Master play of the game in this particular case to the overall meta gameplay of Aeonian. He had less forces, he had less income, and he really just used his forces incredibly effectively. He constantly had those Corruptors healing, he was always scouting, he was keeping his infantry forces at a large enough contingent that he was forcing his opponent to go anti-infantry, which didn't really help him out throughout the game. Is there anything a little bit more specific that either of you guys feel like was just a turning point in the game?
Well, I mean, I think the turning point was obviously right after Technique had made that push that wasn't timed the best. I think Aeonian he definitely saw his opportunity, he took it, and he pushed right then, right there, and he was able to break Technique back out of that expansion and really just get the upper hand in the game.
What about you, Gunran?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Zero. Technique's push was really detrimental later on in the match. Yeah, you could have done better, but hey, Aeon played really well.
There you have it. Once again, Cooler Master play of the game goes to the meta game. You've got to learn when to push, and you got to learn when to hold it back and use your resource advantage.
There you have it. Zero, Gunrun, Jeremy, thanks for being here. Hope you enjoyed yourselves.
Thanks for having us, Raj.
Later.
Want more Battlecast primetime action? Well, you'll have to tune in next month. Until then, keep logging on to www.commandandconquer.com for all of the latest CNC news and info. Keep commenting on the show on the forums or by emailing bcpt@ea.com. Be sure and follow Command and Conquer on Facebook and Battlecast Primetime on Twitter for up-to-the-minute news and info updates. We love hearing from you guys, so keep it coming. For all of us at Battlecast Primetime, Aaron Kaufman, Jeremy Fiesel, Guest Zero, and Gunrun, thank you for watching, and until next time, we'll see you on the battlefield.